The governors of the Southeast have proclaimed how much they would need to transform, uplift, upgrade their states and the fortunes of the people in it. Now, a lot of comments have trailed these monies being projected by the governments from the amounts to be used for capital expenditure and recurrent, and the number or the amount of money, rather, that will be coming from borrowings. We'll be looking at all this and which of the governors seems the most likely to properly execute his budget and, of course, develop his region of Aligbo. My name is Nnamdi Obaya, and this is Nigeria. Kwenu. The program is Nigeria Kwenu on Afia Television, and good afternoon if you're watching us on channel 254 DSTV or channel 17 Go TV, and hello to everyone around the world watching us at Afia TV Official, streaming on Facebook and YouTube. Now, of course, I'm joined by a very good friend of the house. We know him as MaaziEzeoke, but for legal documentation purposes, we'll call him MaaziEzeoke. He's the CEO in Njenje Media Group and the co-convener, Peter Obi Support Network, and he'll be joining us to assess the 2024 budget in the Southeast. And it's very good to have you here.
Thank you very much, Nnamdi. Nice to have you here.
So, I mean, the 5 governors have released how much they are spending.
Yes.
They've brought out this money. We'll be looking at them one by one. But looking at the fact that none of them is, at the most, 20-25% of what a state like Lagos is projecting for its own development. Yes, Lagos has more population and there are more companies there, but is it sensible or is it worrying that the budgets are so low in this region?
Well, I think if you just oppose how much they're generating, if you just oppose the number of people within the state, I think it's within the region. You know, if you want to go that route, you can say Lagos, for instance, is about 2.264 trillion, right? Kano, that obviously, you know, when you talk about populations, is much larger than Lagos, it's about 360 billion. So how do you, it's roughly 25% that we said. Oh. Now you have Imo State doing
300 billion, about 15%.
Exactly. So you look at Imo State doing 500 and something.
Imo is almost 600, 592.2 billion.
You know, look at Abia, the same region. Look at Enugu, the same region. So I don't think it's, you know, in my view, I don't think it's necessarily the size that matters, but it's about implementation. Oh. Right? But there is something, when we get into the meat, there is something that they've done this time around that has never been done.
Okay, we'll find out what that is, but let's just quickly go through our budget. Looking at Enugu, it's a total of 521.6 billion naira, of which 414.3 billion naira will be going on capital expenditure and 107.2 billion will be going on recurrent expenditure. Looking at Imo State, total budget about 592.2 billion, the highest in the region. Recurrent expenditure about 100.99 billion, and capital about 491.2 billion. Now, looking at Abia, it's a budget of 567.2 billion, and about 476.488 billion of it is on capital expenditure. And then you have Anambra, about 410 billion, and capital about 313 billion. Then you look at Ebonyi State, where the budget is about 202.1 billion, and capital is 132.8 billion, recurrent expenditure 69.2 billion. And they seem to have their motives. I mean, Enugu is the budget of disruptive economic growth. So let's start there. Here in Enugu, the budget of disruptive economic growth. And if you look at it already, over 400 billion out of 521 is fixed for capital expenditure.
Exactly, and that's what I was alluding to. Now, if you sum up the whole budget in the Southeast, pick out how much they've budgeted for capital expenditure, it's roughly about 80%.
Yes,
80%.
About 80, 83, 80, 82%.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you put all of them together, Imo State is about 82.9.
Yeah, Abia is about 84%.
So if you put all of them together, we have about 80%. Over 80%.
Definitely over 80%.
Expenditure. My dear, you see, you and I, our job is cut out to ensure that this budget is implemented.
Okay.
If they do, the 5 Southeastern government will be heading towards the time of MaaziEzeoke. Honestly, it's about the implementation. If they implement this budget, for the first time, it means our advocacy is actually working.
Because we just complained about the national budget, where roughly 60+% is still recurrent expenditure.
So it means our advocacy. It means, if we defocus the federal government and come home, hold our people to account. Let's know what the governors are doing. Let's know what our reps are doing. These things will be done. Look, in Enugu now, landed at the airport before I came here. If you come out of the airport, you can see that the road leading to the airport is not patched. It's been taken off and relayed. These things cost money. Driving around Enugu, you see that the public waters that's been promised, well, not everywhere is running, but at least you can see the structures.
And you can see places that have been where there were broken pipes.
Exactly.
The large Jimobodo pipes, they've been dug up.
There's been those asbestos pipes, they've been dug up. I've just gone through, is it in towards Bonkiti?
That's okay, yes, towards Bonkiti, yes, Presidential Road.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, you see, and these things will be done through these monies. So what I think is happening is, for over a long time, especially, I make this to say, that the set, I think I said it in the last time I was here, the set of governors we have in the Southeast now gives me hope across board. Because for the first time, they started off and they kicked off very well. They started meeting again, meeting like brothers to discuss about what they can do. I mean, when they had a meeting earlier this year in Enugu, they talked about regional rail connectivity. Yes. So these are things that we mustn't relent. It's the job of you and I to keep hammering on them, to keep reminding them of their promises. The budget, again, like I said to them, the test of the pudding is in the eating. So let's see how they will do. But we're not going to relent. As long as this budget are passed, our job is cut out. Q1, Q2, we'll be telling them, give us a framework of monitoring. Give us, how you're delivering this. Let's know where you are.
Now, Governor Peter Mbah Enugu, his budget of disruptive economic growth is very straightforward. Yeah. The government is more interested in creating a conducive environment for private people to come in.
To come and create wealth.
And invest.
Yes.
I'm, hardcore, when I say libertarian conservative, I'm of the opinion that the government has no business doing business.
Yes.
The government's business is to make sure that everybody doing business is protected and that their customers are protected.
I agree.
Rather than the other way where the government seems to punish customers by not living up to their protection duty and punishes businesses.
Yes.
So if the government can protect both sides, you have a flourishing economy. We look at the things that have been brought up. There was the issue of water. Then, another statement he made was the tankers don't need to be worried because they're going to turn the entire Enugu state into a construction site. So that means there's also construction work going on. And then, we've heard other things like the land banks, where communities will have equity in agricultural projects, where private investors will be brought in, come and farm. Then the 260 smart schools, where from age 3 you should be exposed to ICT. All these are capital intensive. And on paper, very, very good. But there is the one that, even though, yes, well explained, which is Enugu Air, in terms of something to make people come here, and looking at the amount of flights that don't come to Enugu, or that they come to Enugu, but actually don't come. I remember a week I was going to Lagos and there was not a single flight. At the end, I could only get, I think, 1 airpiece and 1 e-bomb. Those were the only 2 people that, in a space of a month, were flying into Enugu. Yeah. So, that's where my only question mark is, because I haven't really been bought over. I've still not seen. I believe that rail is more important than airports in the region now.
Well, it's...
But looking at all these things, how feasible and how realistic?
Well, it's, if you look at what you just, said now, it's something that is capital intensive. Yeah. What we need to see is the genuineness and the dedication to start it off. If we start rail, to be honest with you, I haven't seen where rails are built across the world. None of them, or this set of governors, may not see it to fruition. But what we need to see is the dedication to start. It takes time. It's capital intensive, and there is actually no resources to build it. However, this is where you now begin to look at funding partners, people that can come in, probably,
I know the
some
Chinese
concessions, exactly. 25 years, I don't know, PPP, build, operate, transfer.
Yeah.
But this is something that we must now keep pressing that something like that happens. It comes to the air that you talk about. I mean, we have IBOM United, APs, and I think about 4 of them. The Green Africa flies at night, but that's only Lagos. Now, if you look at that, I think it's about 5, Dana as well, 5 airlines with Ethiopia, making it 6. What I think, and one of the, in one of the private charts, one thing I think, and I put across to the governor is to say, ensure that the Enugu International Airport is completed. Because if Enugu International Airport, that is the terminal, is completed, that means Ethiopian Airline moves in there. If Ethiopian Airline moves in there, I think Emirates and Turkish Airline had their license during the time of Odua. But being that the old one, honestly, it's not fit for purpose for any international flight. But we're saying that, I'm using the opportunity to say that Ethiopian Airline is basically messing our people up. People flying to Enugu, their luggages are lost, or rather, not lost, but they don't come home with their luggage. I have my family flying today, and 8 boxes, not a single one, came out. So we'll have to stay in Enugu and wait until these luggages come. So, but if the new airport terminal is done, you can see more traffic. You see more business activities. The hotels, will have more, the taxis, the Okbasela, will have more people coming in trying to test something good. So at the end of the day, the economy, because when someone comes in, it's going to change dollar, pounds, yen, whatever it is in Enugu. So we'll see more activities happening. People will have jobs. So our restive youth that do all manner of vices, it will come down. That's what I believe. And again, these are not things the federal government will do for us. These are things we must keep pressing their neck, the way we saw on the streets. We must keep pressing their neck. They must give us real governance. And that, like I said before, is the test of the pudding.
We'll go into collaboration later, but let's move straight to Imo State. The budget of renewed economic growth. Total budget is 592.2 billion naira, and recurrent expenditure is just over 100, but 491, almost 500 of that budget is 491.2 billion capital expenditure. Now, for Imo, I mean, I heard of the trying to about what it's called. One Okibo, one kinsman, one business. One kinsman, one business. Okobi, one kinsman, one business. When I heard of it, I almost lost my mind. Like, everybody's trying to come from urban to rural areas. But I criticize Hope Uzodimma a lot. I've said a lot of unflattering things, many of which I may keep saying or not. But the idea of incorporating rural families, hamlets, what do people do? Agriculture. Then you mobilize and empower them to become financial entities in that area. And you keep moving more of the value chain to the rural area. You're doing agriculture, let's move processing your way. It blew my mind that it's okay, come and take the kinsmen, the Umuna, they're all doing the same business. Come together, let's incorporate you, you are directors, and let's make you a family business. I think that's a fantastic innovation. Then you now look at what they're doing with power. Of all the states, of course, till Enugu stepped in with their gas drives, mainly due to the fact that they want to generate electricity to not just to pump water, but also to encourage businesses to come and set up a kind of state grid. We also saw Imo State, I think they are the ones who are the most power, in terms of power infrastructure, they are the most driven.
Of course, they have the highest number of hotels in the southeast.
They are the most driven.
You need such to run cottage industry.
And then you now have the third one, which is the Heartland Fiber, where everybody's training people for ICT. They're training back end, which is they're training people for installation, hardware. This kind of thinking outside the box, is probably what has been missing for a long time in the region. So if you have a state where they are driven by power, they have people who they're training people not to code, not to do front end, not to do UI, not even to build back end software, but rather to install heavy duty ICT infrastructure. I mean, you now have a zone that becomes responsible, Because no matter how many, there are 150 payment solutions.
Yeah, sure.
But there's one ISP backbone.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, it's like the joke where the plasma TV said, I'm the most developed this. The laptop said, what do you know? I'm small, but my mega processor, this. And telephone said, all of you will soon be obsolete because I did this. And electricity just started laughing.
Yeah.
So
because if it fails,
all of you are gone. So, I mean, these are the things that are. But now, looking at his budget, with all of this, he's still going back to capital expenditure, which means that our fear that a lot of it might be recurrent, and they might say they want to start paying people. But no, it's more capital.
Yeah, because if you look at his budget, for instance, is a 32% increase from the previous budget, actually. So, and when you basically look at the greater details, you begin to find out, like what you said. Now, there are new ideas that he's bringing into the mix. But again, you said it before, there are things you can be a little bit reserved about him.
Yeah.
But I think now, give him benefit of doubt. Very unfortunate. I think he's one of those governors in the last 4 years that heavily criticized based on insecurity
and human rights violations.
And that's why we keep saying in the Southeast, and when I say this, I say to my brothers as well, please, we are doing a lot to hold these leaders to account. Let's give them some space. You understand? Let's make sure that security is here. If we have security in the Southeast, then we can now say, well, before you told us it's because of insecurity, now everyone is quiet. So what is holding you? The idea that you talked about, the umunna of a thing, forming a cooperative, I mean, these are fantastic ideas. These are actually not something new. If you look at Bangladesh, these are what they've done. This is, how they basically brought up women, even that to some point that they preferred giving loan to women because they know that women pay back. They are more organized, structured, not receptible to go sit down somewhere and blow.
Drink the whole money.
And blow it up. So, but if the way it is now, there is something that, which, from what you said that I like so much, that is, if that is done in Imo, it's going to work. Umunna in an Igbo is the core. Yeah. I say this. If an Igbo wants to have census, we don't need to, because we already know the census. We already know. If you go back to the Umunna is the backbone. If you have a child today, there is an annual meeting of Umunna. That means that child by next December will be registered. Yeah. So if you bring out the register of Umunna, they know who your wife is, they know how many kids you have. So if you use that same formula to upfront loans, you say this Umunna ABC, you're doing this. The state is giving you $500 million or 200,000, whatever the amount is. Do you think the Umunna will run away with it? They won't, because they know Mr. Okeke, they know Mr. Okafor. It is an easier way and a very more structured way of basically beginning to engage. Now, if our son, the Umunna know their children more than any other person. Our son is doing XYZ, and we need the executive of the Umunna to undersign as collateral for this. Because they know their sons, because they will know the one that will run away with money.
And the one they will sell for.
Exactly. So, these are structures that it's not only going to be for loan, it's going to be for digitalization, it's going to be used for a lot of things.
And you want to run where? If they run and say, oh, this person has run with our money, they will tell you, they'll say, calm down, that's his father's land. Is it not the money you want?
Exactly.
See your money there. See your money there. There's no problem. I really hope that works, because I think it's a model that could really accelerate development in rural areas. Because this idea that all our development happens around market towns, so it's everyone is a trader, happens around market towns. If we do this in the rural areas, because a lot of the things that Igbos are really known for tend to get swept under the rug. I'll give you an example: agriculture. At one point in time, yam was the currency in this region.
Yes.
So you now tell me that this is not an agricultural hotbed.
Exactly.
But people don't think of the East when they think of agriculture.
Exactly, because I mean, you know, our ancestors had it that to the point that they give titles based on how big your farm is.
Yeah.
That's why we have SAG and co. So, you know, DG, you know. So these are things that, you know, we do. And I believe if now we're bringing it to modernity, put structure to it, push it back there.
Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll go to the next 3 states, Abia, Anambra, and Ebonyi. Nigeria, Kwenu. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to Nigeria, Kwenu on Afia Television, channel 254. That is if you're watching us on DSTV. And of course, channel 17 for those watching on GoTV, Afia TV official for those watching on YouTube and Facebook anywhere in the world. And MaaziEzeoke is still here with me. And we're still discussing the Southeast budget. And now we're going straight to Abia, the budget of the new beginning. Budget of new beginning. 567.2 billion, second only to Imo in the region. And 84% is capital expenditure. That's about 476.448 million. Recurrent is about 16%. That's about 19.752 billion. Now, just over 400 million is going to be borrowed. Borrowings are going to form over 400 million of it. And people are complaining. In fact, people are saying Alex Otti is already preparing his excuse. He knows he's not going to succeed. And, you know, financial heads would say, and I tend to agree, that Governor Alex Otti said that not 1 naira of the borrowed money is for expenditure, for recurrent expenditure. That every single naira borrowed
Will be put into use.
is put into capital expenditure. And the Abia model seems very simple. We're going to go heavy into mainly transport and power infrastructure because we have markets and we have ports and we need to link everything. Buyers, sellers, processors, and value chain people. You know, it's ridiculously simple. And it makes you understand why it's called the budget of new beginning. So let me start, before we even go into his budget, let me ask, if your TA or Gio or Juice or Kalu or Ikpazu, what exactly is going through your mind right now?
If I'm one of them, I will not be coming to the street now because the guy has really shamed them. I was in Omaha a couple of, about a couple of weeks ago. And I drove from, and I made a video about that actually, from Abia Tower to the government house. You know, that single lane, since the creation of Abia State, single lane, single file, that when that road is blocked, everyone is blocked.
Yes.
So, but that road, this guy has just basically broken that road, expanded it, took houses left and right.
Mission Hill.
Exactly, that Mission Hill Road. Now, recall that there was a time in the early 2000s when Ojus Okalu put in a toll gate there. People died there because trail at night, because they didn't know that somebody in not thinking, not expanding a road built in there. I used to live in Omaha then, and that road caused accident. Eventually, that toll gate was removed. That road was not expanded. But, you know, we say in Igbo, as early as possible, you see a man that will succeed. We pray that he succeeds, because that's what we've been clamoring for in the Southeast. And when a man has begun to take such bold step and initiative as early in, you can see that here, Abia State debt as of now, I think is about 106 or 103, over 100 billion, right? And then massive 400 billion to it would be, you know, if you look at it as a layman, you say, now, wow, how we could take pay? But if you provide the necessary infrastructures for businesses to come in, you provide security for people to generate work, pay taxes, you know that that 400 billion is absolute nothing.
Yes.
Because it will pay for itself.
It will pay for itself. You know, people keep thinking it's just the environment for businesses to come and thrive, they pay taxes. There's the second leg of it that people never really talk about, which is the government providing, when people want to create an enabling environment, to get the bigger businesses, you say, look, we're giving you free land, we want equity. Like what Peter Obi did with the brewery in Anambra. We give you equity. Anambra is still making money,
of course,
from that brewery till today.
S.A.B. Miller.
Yeah, and Abia has the, I know some people are trying to bring back Golden Guinea beer.
They've tried a couple of times, e.g. in Omaha. But,
yeah,
you know.
I still had a bottle in Abuja recently. And, you know, it's part of the things I hope that happen. Because, again, this is something that the East was always very good for, which is production of food, drinks, beverages.
Of course now, night market corner, you know.
But people never think of that. Again, it's back to, traders in the market. Now, this Alex Otti's budget, you've talked about the debt paying for itself. The question now is, what are the things now that can be a major hindrance? Because he's going out and making a very bold step. You know, he's strategically identified what he wants. Look, Aba Port Harcourt is important. He's identified the important roads. There's one I haven't heard of, I know. I heard there's an agreement with Dave Umahi, but one essential road that needs to be handled is the Ikotekpene Road. Because it crosses right in front of Michael Okpara University at Umudike, and it's the artery to the south-south.
Now, I'll say this. When you talk about Michael Okpara, I had a private conversation with Senator Nyinia Baribe. And I said to him, that road, you know, that was when Akpabio was running for Senate President. I said, if you guys are giving support, what are you extracting? You know, my own, not in monetary value, but project-wise. Yeah. And that road was mentioned. Now, that road leads to Akpabio's, you know,
hometown. Directly,
so
yes.
that road leads to, you know, Enyinia Baribe's community. Therefore, I do not have any iota of doubt that within the next 2 years that road will be fixed. Because I know the conversations I had.
Because it's so shameful when you know when you're in Akwa Ibom because of how the road goes from a gully to a tarmac.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there was a, you know, before, I think around 2004, 5 or whatever, or, you know, then, I used to drive from Umahia to Uyo under 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean...
But today, you can't do it in 2 hours.
No, you see...
Even when it's just when you come back and your waist are still intact.
Look, the funny part is, the stretch from the Akwa Ibom border to Ikotekpene is slightly longer than Mission Hill Junction to... But it takes almost 3-4 times as long.
Because the road is
terrible.
It's terrible, yeah.
So apart from infrastructure, what other thing can Governor Alex Otti do? You know, there is some, like, I won't call it a quick fix, but because already in terms of infrastructure, the perception of doing work, people are happy. There was a report we got from our correspondents. You know, people saying we've never seen Julius Berger in Abia State. And, you know, I had people from other regions laughing and saying, you people are suffering in the Southeast. I say, people are missing the point. This is not an indictment on the Southeast. It's an indictment on those who sat on the seats before. Mm-hmm. The people at Aba Road, and this was the one that, Port Harcourt Aba Road, that really shocked me. The Julius Berger people, not the people, said that they were amazed how, when they came and started working, people were cooking for them in the morning.
Exactly. That is, you know, normally because they are used to, when they start working, you hear about communities say, no, you must pay us certain money, threatened with kidnap, and suddenly people are beginning to come in, you know, do you want to eat Oba? Do you want this? You know, just
make them like heroes. And
exactly. So they are doing their job. But the thing is, when a people have been held down for so long, that's what you get. You know, I'm not saying this, you know, to slight any state, but unlike Anambra, where you say, well, you know, even when people will call failure in Anambra, they go to other states, they will be like heroes, right? Yeah. But in Abia State, it was like successive failure. Sorry, but it was, you know, failure after failure. If not, for Christ's sake, tell me one single thing. Have you forgotten? I made a video then when the Theodoji was about to leave. He talked about Abia Airport. I said, it's a fraud. Until today, I said, it's a fraud. How many years? Almost 10 years.
We've not seen...
Not even the grass was cleared. Yet Dave Umahi built an airport under 2 years.
2 years done.
2 years done and dusted, though.
So Dave Umahi built an airport. Willie Obiano, even Peter Obi before him said, we're going to build an airport here. We saw the land clear.
Exactly.
Willie Obiano came in, did the airport.
Exactly.
Done. It's not left for Soludo to improve operations there. We are yet to see,
you see that's
16 years, no airports.
No, not about airport. You see, the thing is, it's about delivering whatever you say you will deliver. You know, the madness and the craze of Naira-dollar disparity can make someone with genuine intention not to realize certain visions. But again, it's about your channel of communication. We must say it now. If you're not able to build an airport, but Ogamek will see where you clear the land. Let's see where, you know, do you understand? But it begins to feel like, sadly, and the fifth state of Ndib, or the sixth state of Ndib, which is Delta. You see what's happened in Delta. Delta is like another, another place where when you read the amount of money accruing to Delta, you go to Delta and say, wow, where is all this money?
The money is in Asaba, between Dennis Osadebe and Okpanam Road, where there's heavy development, but it tails off, if I'm to be honest.
No,
I'm from Ibuzo, so I can tell you.
Listen, whatever they do there is not up to private 10% scratch. But these things are done by private investors.
Private investors.
So what is the state doing with those money?
I mean, you see the money accrued to Akwa Ibom, and if you say, oh, the government stole so much money, the road network, even into rural areas, is fantastic. Like, they are rural areas. Nobody's using the road. But the quality of road, if you needed to use it per chance, my cameraman and I, Austin, were playing a game. We started at Iko Tekmene. So how many minutes before we see our first pothole? 17.
17 minutes.
That's off when we left from the expressway. Like, we're looking for potholes. There is nowhere, I don't think there's anywhere you wouldn't see a pothole in seconds. 17 good minutes of driving, looking out for a pothole. And I said, Austin, and we're just both laughing at ourselves. Actually, we're laughing at ourselves. So I understand when you say this money accrued to a state. There's NDDC money, there's derivation money, there's Ministry of Niger Delta allocation. All this money comes to Delta and
nothing.
I think Asaba can be grateful for the real estate development done by those with shops in Onitsha that are not in the Onitsha.
Of course.
Because that is the development happening
and because
in
of
Asaba.
Because of the madness again, called the Monday sit at home, sorry, but that's what it is. So it has pushed businessmen as well. Every Sunday you see people running out like just to get out, stay in Asaba, come back on Tuesday. So a lot is happening. But again, like I said at the beginning, if and when we have the region so secured, these things would begin to improve and we'll see it. And like I said, the 5 governors we have in the Southeast, in my view, really game on it, with the exception of 1 or 2, I don't know. But
well, we will, but
I think the peer pressure, if you look at, let's just put it this way, if you look at what's happening in Abia, in Enugu and Anambra, why Enugu wake up?
You will wake
because
up.
People will begin to tell you
what's going on.
What's going on?
Yeah. And I mean, we hope Abia can move. It's a voice of new beginning. So we hope they can move from what it has been, which has just been an economy of rent seeking. It has been just a rent seeker's paradise. All sorts of levies, double taxation on people who are suffering to even move from one point to the other. But we'll keep watching. Let's go to Anambra State. Budget of changing gears, the transformation agenda begins. So we go from acceleration to changing gears. I think Governor Soludo must have a thing with cars. So his budget is 410 billion. Recurrent expenditure is 96.2 billion. Capital 313.9 billion. Now, I know Anambra, a lot of the developments, they depend on it from private sector. But again, I look at their budget and I think with regards to the amount of facilities they would have to provide for the amount of businesses, unlike most Southeast states, we look at Abia, you have Umuahia and Aba as your 2 main places. You go to Imo, it's basically Owerri. Okigwe is not really spreading beyond the express. And there's no other really major place. You come to Enugu, it's Enugu and Nsukka. People might say, oh, Ogo, but it's really Enugu and Nsukka, But you go to Ebonyi, it's just Abakaliki. But you go to Anambra, and you have Onitsha, you have Oka, you have Nnewi. These are 3 heavyweights.
Do you want to upset others? You have Nnewi, you have Ogidi, you have Ekulobia.
Now people say, let me even be. No, so I'm adding Umpo, all of them to
Onitsha.
Obosi, everybody. I'm putting it on the Onitsha line because they've all swallowed up each other. Yeah. But you have 3, or the Onitsha is no longer a metropolis, it's becoming a megapolis now. You have 3 at least metropolis, really big cities. And I would have thought that the budget, looking at how poor the interconnecting roads between them are, one would have thought the budget to be more.
I think on Anambra, there are 2 things I would say here. I think the traders, because when you look at the IGR, from the markets you've mentioned, people don't pay tax.
Oh.
They don't generate enough. Now, and I have been an advocate of the reason why our governments mess up is because we don't pay tax. When you pay tax, you become an angry citizen.
Oh.
You pay tax. Now, take for instance, here on this street, you pay tax for someone to come and pack your rubbish. Let's say you pay 50,000. They're supposed to come and pack it every Monday. And you go to work on Monday, come back on Monday, it's there. Come on now. You think you pay again? You understand? Even when they will come on Tuesday, you'll be demanding, you'll be raving mad, you'll be demanding for apology. Why did you not do it when you're supposed to? For the fact that there are certain things you don't do. If they don't come, now don't worry, they will come next week. So, you see, once we begin to pay the right taxes, you, me, everyone inclusive, we will begin to hold people to account. Mm. You can imagine if Enugu Port Harcourt was told, you think we'll be driving on those potholes and you want to pay toll gate? People will be fighting with spanners and screwdriver every day now. Because, do you understand? The
transporters would have burned the toll gate long ago.
So the thing is, with Anambra, I think Anambra doesn't, the people of Anambra doesn't pay the right tax or they don't pay enough. Two, the Anambra State, Soludo is in the second year. He needs to step up the game. Oh. If you must convince the people to pay tax, you must show them. Because during the time of Fashola in Lagos, yeah, at some point, people were happily, without Fashola asking, to go and pay tax. Yeah. Because they started seeing in their inner roads in Sulere, those areas, they started doing the roads. So you were coming back on the evening, and you see that your road is being tarred, and you've lived there 25 years. Somebody won't ask you to go and pay tax. Mm. And Soludo also needs to get creative. There is something he talked about when he was campaigning, and suddenly the same thing appears to have died. Partner with people to tar their street. If it is going to cost 20 million to do interlock on my street, Governor, partner with us, we'll bring 10, state bring 10, we'll do it. Because nobody wants, it's easier on us. Right? You're going to do the road. It's going to be easier on us. We're not going to be spending money changing our chalk observers every week. So, these are creative ways, I think.
I mean, but before SouthEastern came, we talked about turning Anambra to Dubai, there were 20 promises. But the first thing has been this revenue drive, which I don't want to call it a dumpster fire, but you have a situation where they told people to come and bid for revenue collection. And we watched that revenue collection, and at a point, one of the people stood up and said, Governor Soludo, we are crossing 300 billion a month. If we got 300 million a month, if we continue, was it 300 million or 300 billion a month? 300 million. If we continue for this kind of revenue drive, what will happen is that we'll start extorting people.
Of course, but he has gone.
And he was told by the governor to sit down on camera.
Yeah, but
if he doesn't have money.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing. Sometimes our governor could appear arrogant. Listen, we are going back to that now. When he started, he said on camera when he visited Onitsha that Aburana, touts are gone, blah, blah, blah. But they're everywhere.
They are empowered. And I mean, the company you give, Bigley Oil and Gas, same person doing it before, brought money, you brought it. Now they've had to bring down the money again because we're having issues where people were complaining. People coming on TV telling us I'm paying 24,000 just from, maybe from the new tire to
so where is the digitalization he talked about during campaign? So, OKZ Bazo started digitalization. Now, of Keke payment, this guy came in, Oti. Oti, obviously accepted it, improved on it. Now they are using it. Anambra, we are getting 2 years into office now. Where is the digitalization of revenue?
This thing of even the low revenue, there are people who are collecting revenue in Anambra, but not for Anambra. We saw what was happening in, was it Umpo? They were saying, no, Oba, the indigens, non-indigens levy. See, if you're not a non-indigen, there's a levy you pay. Who is doing it? Some youths have their receipts.
Exactly.
It's like people generate ID cards, receipts, and everybody's collecting money. So it's Governor Soludo not creating a rent-seeking environment similar to what we saw in the days of Orji Zokalo and T.A. Orji in Abia?
Listen, you see, we must be intentional. We must tell these governors the truth. If so, Governor Soludo is watching. If they're not telling you, I'm telling you right now, you need to improve on your revenue collection. Go digital. You know, all these things we're talking about, you have touts littered everywhere. How many months did it take Governor Mba to put CCTV? For the first time in Enugu, you come, you see people stand on the camera when it's red. Not that they are law-abiding citizens, but because if they go, there are consequences. But we do not have that. Where do we have a single camera? The only camera you have in Anambra now are the ones installed by communities. If you come to the one leading to my road, our vigilantes, we contributed money. They will look at you, say your size. Okay, well, if you are from my community, we would have given you 1 million because you can afford it. So they give by size.
One chance.
So, but the thing is, even at that, the citizens, we are not waiting for government to do certain things. So what we are asking is government must step up their games. Come and meet the people. There are places I know in Anambra now, the indigents are ready to contribute to do the roads. And like if you go to Amuodofi in Lagos, it's hardly you see roads done with asphalt. You see them with stones, interlocking stones. Because if you do them with 8 mm rough surface that even if you use hammer, it won't break. So if it goes bad, you go back and refill, rammer the thing and bring the same material back. So it's going to help us. I want to see, like Ifeanyi Uba said during the campaign, I want to see more roads in Anambra State, interconnecting roads done with interlocking stone. It is doable.
Let's take a quick break, just a few seconds, and when we come back, we'll round up with Ebonyi. The final word will be on Ebonyi because smallest budget, but last not the least. Nigeria Kwenu, we'll be right back. The program is Nigeria Kwenu on Afia Television, channel 254, DSTV, 17 Go TV, and we are now rounding up, and we are doing so in the state of Ebonyi, the budget of innovation and progress. Total budget, 202.1 billion naira. Capital expenditure, 128 billion. So we're seeing a budget where everybody has capital expenditure bigger than the entire budget.
Yes.
Now, Governor Wifuru has said that he's very interested in human capacity development. That's where he is, what he's interested in. So it's more about developing people than infrastructure. To be fair, Engineer Dave Umah, he did do
infrastructure.
At least he did the, let's call it the renewal of the Abakaliki renewal. So what is the key thing that Governor Wifuru would need to be looking at now?
I think, like you said, the Ebonyi State has the least budget amongst all the states, obviously. Also, the poorest within the Southeast. That is Ebonyi is the Yobe of Ndebo, right?
I think it's the third poorest state in Nigeria, exactly. And the only one outside the north in the top 15.
So now when you look at that, the budget itself, having identified that he needs more of human capital development, is a kudos. Dave Umahi, dwarfed anyone that came before him, and sadly, anyone that will come after him in the next couple of years. Because there is nothing you will do that you scratch. The guy ran, he did project like there was no tomorrow in terms of physical stuff. What are you going to do? He has done an airport, he has done the market, he has done
the roads, flyovers.
So what is it you're going to do? So the guy, I think, in my view, is smart to now say, okay, move away from these structures are here now. How do we get the human? How do we get them apart? How do we begin to use these structures to generate revenue for the next generation? And that brings us to the Ebonyi Airport, for instance. Ebonyi Airport, one of the airports I visited and reported on, the airport is on stream, sadly not being used. I did make some comments then, but I thank God from my reports now, that airport is being fixed because the runway was smooth, but it was
concrete.
It was concrete. And, when I was driving on it, you can see concrete, when some, like, roots are on this sand, you can see them coming up. So one thing that I noticed was that, that's not bumpiness. And again, I think the first flight, Airpeace flights, the pilot complained about something like that.
They even they are damaging their landing gear because asphalt is like spongy.
Exactly.
It can absorb the force
now,
and the plane can land.
Why on earth that Dave didn't do it is something that beat me.
I mean, he's a civil engineer.
Why didn't he, after that, because I agree with him, the concrete base is good, even in Enugu here, concrete base, right? But that he shouldn't have done about 6 or 8 inches
asphalt, yes.
And asphalt on that is what beats me. But, well, that has been done now, and I hope once it's done, the human capital that people will begin to use the airport and jobs will be created. Ebony needs jobs in there.
Ebony needs jobs. And we hope that, because we have run out of time. We have just like 2 minutes, but I need to ask this. 5 states in the Southeast. What is the one project that the 5 Eastern states can collaborate on to kick off a regional development agenda?
Rail again. We must connect to the Southeast. If you look at the federal government budgets now, the Southeast is neglected on rail rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed since the Amechi left. Now, we must not, if you don't want to connect me to Ajokuta, connect me to Medugri, fine, keep it. But you cannot prevent me from connecting Enugu to Ebonyi and Ebonyi to Anambra. Because rail, kudos to the last assembly, rail is now on concurrent list. So no one is going to say, oh, we can't do rail because we do not have the right to. You now have the right to generate energy. You have the right now to do rail. For me, that is the single project that they will do, rail and security. That's it. Then leave the rest. The people will do it themselves.
Rail, security, leave the rest. What is the one human capacity development, will I say, agenda that Governor Wifuru can face first to kickstart whatever he wants to do in Ebonyi?
Well, I think ICT, he can leverage on that. He can build the ICT hub. There are people trying to move from Lagos. Some Ndibo that I know, being part of, that they want to move from even India and...
There's a young guy we interviewed on Afia. I've interviewed a couple of times. He's in Abakaliki there building automated, power systems and change. And he's in there in Abakaliki. Why aren't you moving? He says he came from Lagos.
ICT hub.
Yeah, and it will be cheaper. Food will be cheaper. Rent will be cheaper.
I know, of course. I know when I used to do IT project management, some of the developers I used are in Yaba, in Lagos. So either I use Yaba or I use some in Mumbai. But obviously, I want something within my continent. So, having that privilege, I use guys in Yaba. I want to use more people in Ebonyi, Enugu, or Anambra. So wherever the ICT hub is. But I think it's one thing he can leverage on.
One thing, and we hope that the governors can leverage on it. We hope that, like you said, and I will take up your challenge, I'll be part of those who will be monitoring with a hawk eye the activities of this budget, making sure that, it comes to fruition. It's fantastic seeing the level of money being pushed to capital.
And I think on that partnership, I think what we have to do also as a people is we have to begin to work on framework, that will go say, this is what you promised us where you are. We'll share it to them and we'll come on live here. Those who do not want to give us these details, we'll come and tell them, let's shame. Because we have to own it. It is about our future. We can't allow these things to go down. It's about us. It's about our children.
And the good part about it is that it only takes one of the governors to answer you.
Exactly.
For everyone to change. Thank you so much, Maazi. Always nice to have you here. I'm always happy when I'm with people who see the future, not the present or the past. Nigeria Queen will be back same time next week, and of course, by then we'll have more updates, and hopefully we'll be looking at the situation with Maazi Nnamdi Kanu. We can't comment yet because we don't have all the details, but of course we will be following the story and we will keep you informed. But don't go anywhere. Afia Television has all the best for you on channel 254, DSTV 17, GoTV. It's Friday and we are the only way to enter your weekend. So yes, sit tight with us this festive season. Homecoming events all over your TV, reasons for you to come to the East every end of year, and so much more. Don't go anywhere. This is Nnamdi Obaya saying, enjoy your weekend on Afia.